So thank you for meeting with us today. To start with, can you explain to us what a vote of no confidence is?
Okay, so essentially what a vote of no confidence is a petition to go to Guild Council or to the membership of the Guild, i.e. the students, for them to vote on whether they still have confidence in the sabbatical officer which is being petitioned against, essentially.
So as a member of the student body with a complaint to make, how would you go about submitting a vote of no confidence?
Well, there are different things you can do if you want to submit a complaint. You don't necessarily have to go automatically to a vote of no confidence. You can censure officers in Guild Council. You can also speak to the officers, or you can make an official complaint with the Guild of Students itself. If you do want to go down the route of vote of no confidence, you can lobby your Guild councillors, and if 25 Guild councillors write a petition of vote of no confidence to the Chief Executive, a Scrutiny committee is then called, and they will look at the reasonableness and appropriateness of the motion, and then it can go forward to Guild Council. If it goes forward to Guild Council, then they have to vote on it, and it's got to pass with a 2/3 majority.
Okay, so obviously recently you were handed with a vote of no confidence. So how did you feel when you were handed the petition, and did you have any idea that the Guild councillors were in the process of submitting one for you?
I had an idea that it might have been coming, just on the case of just on the case of that. Yeah, obviously, if you're going to get handed a petition of vote of no confidence, it's not the nicest thing in the world. But I read the allegations in there, and I knew that I had a defence against it. So obviously, it wasn't a nice situation, but it was something that comes as part of the job sometimes, and you just got to stand your ground and defend yourself, essentially.
Okay, so the vote of no confidence caused a lot of controversy on campus, and groups both in favour strongly and against the vote of no confidence appeared on Facebook. So how did you cope with all the publicity and the negative comments that appeared?
It is difficult. I mean, sometimes people forget that there's a human being behind the position of president or sabbatical officer. We are human, we have feelings, and you see stuff which is negative written, stuff which is negative written about you, and it's not nice. But throughout this year, myself and the team have come under a lot of fire, and you learn to get a thick skin quite quickly. So yeah, like I said before, it's not easy. But it's just one of those things that you just got to take as part of the job and, get on with it. David Cameron and Nick Clegg have had far worse, so that just gives me a little bit of comfort at times.
So there were many people that agreed with your side of the thing and were completely against the vote of no confidence, and there was actually a support campaign that was made for you. So how did that make you feel?
That was really surprising, if I'm being quite honest. Not because I think that everyone hates me or anything like that, but it was surprising to see that students on both sides were willing to stand up for what they believe in. And what was better was that obviously it wasn't prompted by me at all. These were students who simply agreed with the stuff that I was doing as president, and supported. They had confidence in me essentially, and they wanted to have their side heard. So yeah, I mean, everyone's human. You get a compliment, you get quite warm-hearted, and and it keeps you going. Because again, the human side, we have emotions. We like to be, complimented every so often.
So Facebook and Twitter were very active in the aftermath of the petition, and the petitioners even posted the content of the vote of no confidence on the public network forums. So did you feel this was appropriate for them?
Yes, it was entirely appropriate. A vote of no confidence essentially can go to referendum, cross-campus referendum. So students need to know exactly what the facts are. As long as what was on there was factually accurate, I was happy for it to be out there, because people had to make up their own minds, and people read the allegations against me, they read my defence, and then they made their own decisions. So essentially, that led to people say in the yes and no camps essentially. So yeah, it was appropriate to be out there.
Okay, so is this why you decided to respond on Facebook then?
Yes, I had to get my side out there, because essentially if it went to Guild Council, I'd have to stand up and defend myself, and I felt that I needed to speak out essentially before that time so that people could make their own judgments, because Guild Councillors would have to vote on behalf of their constituents, and I felt that they needed a single message coming from my office about a response to the allegations, which is why I posted it on Facebook and made it public.
Okay, so of course now the Scrutiny Committee has rejected the vote of no confidence. So how did that make you feel when you found out the news?
Again, there's a lot of controversy at the moment in terms of the makeup of the Scrutiny Committee, and I will actually go on record and say that I actually agree that the Scrutiny Committee composition should change, which is a motion which has gone through Guild Council, which now just needs to be ratified. So I agree with that change. But obviously, you know, I get to sort of keep my job. So obviously a human being would say that's fantastic. However, I do know that there are questions coming at the next Guild Council. I know there are still things I have to answer for, which I'm more than willing to do. And, you know, I'm ready to stand up in Guild Council and take the questions and have my side and have the debate which Guild Council has wanted.
So how do you propose a new scrutiny committee should be composed?
Essentially, it has to be made up of students. It has to be made up of the people who are holding the sabbatical officer to account. So I agree with the composition. It said that it had 4 guild councillors who will be elected onto it on there, and the composition is essentially just made up of students, because we are the guild of students. So I agreed that the university nominee maybe shouldn't be on there, because it keeps us as an autonomous and sovereign union essentially.
Okay. So now that the vote of no confidence has been rejected, how do you think that will affect your job in the next few months?
Some people see it's quite difficult for people to recover from something like this. I mean, you look at it from politically. I don't see it like that at all. Throughout all this, I've been carrying on doing my job. I've been doing what I was elected to do, trying to get wins for students. Throughout this, I still managed to get a 24-hour library during the first 2 weeks of term 3 when it's busiest in the library. And there's going to be other things that I'm going to be doing throughout the term. Essentially, I'm just here to do a job. It's what I was elected to do. I take a quite blunt view about it, is that no matter what's happening politically, for students, I'm still going to be fighting for. I'm still going to be there on Wednesday at the injunction demo. I'm also, going to be doing what I've been doing for the last 6 months, which is doing my absolute best.
In the actual report, the Scrutiny Committee only rejected 5 of the 6 allegations made against you, but they did agree with petitioners that you failed to implement the Guild Council mandates. And what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, basically the Guild Council mandate was to write a letter to the Vice-Chancellor condemning his actions and taking part in the Brown Review, and I had a 2-day window for that to take place. And basically the Scrutiny Committee said to me, did you meet the deadline of the mandate? And I said, no, I didn't. I said, I missed the mandate. I held my hands up and said, I made a mistake. I didn't do it in time. I fulfilled the mandate, but I missed the deadline, and that was a mistake on my part. So essentially it got accepted because I held my hands up and said, yeah, and which is what I'm more than willing to do. If I've done something wrong, I'll hold my hands up and say, yeah, I made a mistake. So.
Okay, and finally, do you have any advice for future presidents of the Guild, especially when the going gets tough like it has with you?
Future advice, stay calm, have a cup of tea, surround yourself with your friends and your family, surround people that you like, and try and get out the guild bubble, turn your phone off, and essentially just be a normal person. Don't let it take over you, because it's very easy to get caught up in it all, and don't knee-jerk react. That's the main thing. If you get handed a petition of vote no confidence, you're automatically going to think, oh, should I resign? Don't knee-jerk react, take a deep breath, and just and remember to have fun. It's all fun and games at times.